Please join me in welcoming our next keynote speaker, Stephanie Cousy, Member of Parliament for Calgary-Midnapore, Shadow Minister for Treasury Board, House of Commons of Canada.
Thank you so very much, Nina. It is such a pleasure to be here in my hometown of Calgary. I absolutely love this place. I am born and raised here. I was raised in the beautiful community of Lake Bonavista, and Calgary-Midnapore, if you are not aware as to the location, or for anyone who's from out of town, it's sort of south central Calgary. So this would be the communities such as Deer Run, Willow Park, Sundance, all of these great places. And so I've done that for some time now, and it's just a joy and an honor to represent my citizens every single day in the House of Commons. I flew in last night. It was just starting to snow then. We made our way from the great south up the Deerfoot today to come and join you, and it is just truly such a joy to be here. But if you are not from Calgary, I can tell you that I come to you today from the base of innovation, excitement, ideas, growth, and you may have seen in the lobby, endless blue sky. Calgary, we love our endless blue skies here. So Artemis 2 has nothing on the city of Calgary. I am telling you that. And I should know, because I am a product of this place. I was forged from a small business family. I'm sure there are many entrepreneurs in the room here, and a dream on the prairies that my parents had when they came from Regina, Saskatchewan. So, I'm hearing some applause for that. So, I love this place. I traveled the world. I lived around the world, but I came back because this city knows no boundaries and has no limits. And it's in this spirit of limitless that I speak to you today. Now, it is true that I am a politician. I admit it, I'm a politician. But prior to being an elected official, I was actually a diplomat. But even before I was a diplomat, and I had a great career, I lived in Argentina, El Salvador, Dallas, Texas. When I interviewed for the position for Dallas, Texas, they said, "Why do you think you would be a good match?" And I said, "I'm from Calgary, Alberta." And they said, "You're hired." Because they knew, I knew, rodeo and beef, most definitely. But even before I was a diplomat, I was a business student at Rutgers University, where I did my MBA. And this was a time of Six Sigma, a reasonable theory that anything done to an exponential level could achieve miraculous returns. I even knew a black belt, or maybe we have a Six Sigma black belt in this room. And this, of course, was sometime after ISO 9000 and sometime before a topic I see here, blockchain. So I know ideas can be embraced with corporate fervor, but it is the tenacity of humanity that will always push us to evolve. And Calgary is ground zero for this resilience, tenacity, sense of entrepreneurship. These are the fundamentals of our people, of our city, and of our natural resources sector. So in this time of energy insecurity, economic volatility, and an entire geopolitical reorganization of the world, I remain steadfast, confident, and even optimistic about our future potential as a nation. But, like the wild horse of the prairies, this potential must be unbridled. For too long, we have seen artificial limits placed upon this sector. Legislation such as Bill C-69, I'm sure we all know the No More Pipelines bill, as well as Bill C-48, the tanker moratorium. For context, the world produced 103 MBD of oil in 2024, with that number ever increasing. New investment occurred globally to literally deliver 50 plus MBD of new production, yet despite our large natural resources, Canada only enjoyed 2 MBD of that. The last 10 years was a last decade of opportunity, not only for this industry, but for Canada. And it's not a mystery how this occurred. Anti-fossil fuel federal government policies, excessive regulation, inability to get projects approved. I'm sure many in this room have experienced one or more of these. Market intervention, interprovincial conflict, and more. The result was that capital markets and investors lost confidence in Canada. Capital flees uncertainty, and uncertainty was all that Canada offered. The result was not only limited large new resource development projects, but the exit of BP, Total, Statoil, Shell, Devon, Marathon, I could go on, and others. 50 billion plus of country exits because Canada's risk outweighed Canada's rewards. Meanwhile, major investment, hundreds of billions of dollars occurred elsewhere. The United States, Brazil, Guyana, Russia, the Middle East, and Australia. The problem has not been the will of our people or the will of our industry. It is the overall investment climate. Capital flows to its highest and best use, and that has not been Canada. We need to address Canada's investment climate. We need to signal to global markets that Canada is open for business and on a path to being an energy superpower. And frankly, I don't see this as an option. From the opposition benches where I have sat for 9 long years, and in my role as Shadow Minister for the Treasury Board for close to 4 years, I can tell you that we as a nation are in desperate need of the revenue. With close to $80 billion in deficit and over $50 billion on debt interest payment this fiscal year alone. Increased productivity is not an option. Canadian business productivity slipped from 0.6% from 2017 to 2024. 8 of 10 provinces are in the bottom 15 provinces and state for GDP per capita. A Fraser Institute report concludes that a better prescription for curling Canada's productivity ills would be to encourage a top foreign talent and businesses to set up shop here by lowering corporate, individual, and capital gains tax, making us more competitive with the United States and other developed nations. But how do we improve our investment climate? Well, as an opposition member, I can tell you, I feel I have presented these ideas ad nauseum. However, I am compelled to share them here again today, some of them. First of all, we must simplify regulations that are impeding development and need to be overhauled. Existing processes are complex, unpredictable, subjective, and excessively long. Processes need to be clarified and simplified, and decisions must withstand judicial review. And we have seen this repeatedly, most recently with the Emergencies Act of a court decision with an appeal by the federal government. This must stop. The federal government needs to reduce regulatory timelines to approve major projects, within 6 months of application. This is required to restore confidence and to attract capital to Canada. Clarity on provincial versus federal jurisdiction is also required. We have seen the use of the notwithstanding clause even in our own province. And complexities continue, for example, with the Cowichan decision to the province just to the west of us. The federal government's cap on emissions must be eliminated to allow the sector to grow and to achieve its potential. The production cap creates uncertainty, is redundant, will result in production cuts, and will certainly stifle investment. We need a fiscal framework that attracts investment. As an example, the carbon levy on large emitters is not globally cost competitive and should be repealed to allow provinces to set regulations. Industry needs clear, competitive, and durable fiscal frameworks to secure capital and incentivize investment. Finally, incent Indigenous investment opportunities. The federal government needs to provide Indigenous loan guarantees at scale so industry can create ownership opportunities to increase prosperity and ensure Indigenous communities benefit from resource development. And I'm very proud to say, in the Conservative Caucus of Canada, we have two wonderful chiefs. Chief Billy Moran of the Enoch Cree Nation, as well as Chief Ellis Ross, who served as Minister of Natural Resources for the province of British Columbia. In recent times, there was pause to be hopeful. There was. Last year, we saw the creation of a major projects office, although I struggle to understand how another agency of bureaucracy will assist in better outcomes. In the recent departmental plans of the government, with the key objectives of reducing full-time equivalents, not only was there the absence of granular line-by-line lists of the positions being eliminated, but 64 federal departments will be spending more in this new fiscal year. This is my case in point. The official opposition went out of our way to support C5, giving the federal government carte blanche in building projects. But of the list of many major projects, many of them were in fact not new and were simply re-announcements. And within that list was not a single pipeline. The federal Alberta MOU was announced with much fanfare, but I am hearing repeatedly from industry that much has been said, but very little has been delivered. I heard this as recently as my trip to Washington, D.C. earlier this week when I talked to the Canada America Business Chamber. And we need to see that things are being delivered. I am happy to report that it would seem at home and abroad, as I was in Washington for the International Monetary Fund World Bank meetings, I'm happy to report that I believe we are moving away from what I believe is ideology to what I think is more important for all of humanity, practicality. But we must go from practicality in theory towards action. And you may notice I'm giving the Prime Minister the benefit of the doubt, given he literally spent the last decade crusading for the environment, in my opinion, at the expense of development. Friends, progress will always come down to leadership. What is there, even in each of your organizations, in each of your corporations, other than leadership that determines the direction that you are going? Ideas will come. The vast majority of ideas, they will fade into obscurity. And even those like Six Sigma will serve a moment in the span of evolution and of progress. But it is people and their legacies that endure, because they are what are truly exponential. One of my very good friends and advisors is John Baird, who served as the Minister of both Transport and Foreign Affairs, and now serves on many prestigious boards, I believe, including Eurasia Group, as well as Canadian Pacific, or pardon me, now CPKC. And he had on his desk the very same sign that Winston Churchill had on his. And it is, and it was, it can be done. I believe this in everything I approach and in everything I undertake. It can be done. So isn't it time that the government acted with the same wonder, with the same haste as every single person in this room? Because the people in this room are here for the markets and for investors, and as a conservative and a capitalist, I value that. But government is supposed to act for the people and for society. And doesn't Canada and its citizens deserve the best in terms of opportunity and prosperity? Competition transcends words. Competition transcends announcements. Competition transcends memorandums of understanding. It demands action. So I will keep pushing for the efficiency of government, the elimination of red tape, the reduction of our spending, and for things not just to get said, but to get done. And I will do this because the future of our nation depends on it. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Yes, whatever time frame is allowed, I'm more than happy to take questions. I will ask our beautiful moderator, Mila. I'm gonna get the mic. Okay.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure I can hear them as well from the floor, but...
Hello. I am Andy Mukherjee. I work for LG Industry in United States because there's no job for me here. Honorable Member of Parliament, what you have said exactly, it can be done. And I strongly feel that it can be done if Alberta becomes independent. What is your thought on that?
Well, Andy, thank you very much, and I'm sorry you had to go to the United States to get a job, but this is not surprising to me. Canada lost 100,000 jobs in a single month, the month of February alone, and so you are not unique in this situation. I advocate for people like you, I work for people like you, but I certainly can tell you, I advocate for a strong Alberta within a federal Canada. I am not prepared to have a passport to go and visit my sister in Toronto. That does not work for me. I think that it is very important to have strong provincial jurisdictions within a strong federal body. But I do not believe that Alberta would be better on its own fundamentally. What I do believe would genuinely, pardon me, I'm not sure what happened there, what would be better would be if we had a federal government that respected all regions of the country and was working for the betterment of all regions of the country in coordination for the strength of Canada. As an Albertan, I am more than happy to help my countrymen and women prosper in the Maritimes, in Quebec even. My mother is from Quebec originally. But I believe this has to be done within the Federation. I don't think the problem I think the problem is situational in this moment and can be transcended for the betterment of not only Canada, but for Albertan citizens as well. And why do so many people come here? It's a wonderful place, but it is wonderful, it was created within the Federation. So I believe in a strong Alberta in a federal Canada. Okay, and pardon me, excuse me, I'm seeing over here, okay.
First of all, thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. I really appreciate that. I have lived in both Canada and the United States. I'm a product of Alberta, and I'm a very proud Albertan and Canadian. I don't believe that we should be leaving Canada. First of all, we're in the middle of the country. It doesn't make any sense. Okay? And there's a lot of good things about being Canadian, and we should really self-reflect on that before we decide to separate. Sometimes in families it happens. You have 5 fingers, they're not all the same. You don't get along with your siblings sometimes, but at the end of the day, you come together as a country, and that's what we have to do. And as far as getting support from the federal government, it's starting to change. The world is changing. The middle power, we're growing, we're expanding, and I'm currently on the advisory board to the Premier of Alberta for trade to India. And I believe that Prime Minister was recently in India, and the Indian Prime Minister is coming. That is an economy that we need to work towards, building relationships with, getting our energy out. So we need help with the pipelines. Definitely every day I get phone calls for we need oil, we need gas, we need this, we need that. But without infrastructure, we don't have it. And that is absolutely, we need, the MOU is great, but we need to build that pipeline right away.
Yeah. I agree completely. Thank you for your comments.
I observe patterns, and there is a reoccurring pattern within our federal and sometimes even provincial governments that when politicians get into their positions, it's a place of safety and they retreat, and it's safer to do the least amount to disrupt the apple cart. And so by taking bold action, it's a risk. And it's a risk for them in the next election. So they sit back and do nothing. So from your perspective, having your career, your decades of working with various politicians and individuals in the political sphere, what would it take for the federal government to actually do something, to take that action that is necessary? And yes, there may be some conflict, there may be some friction, but overall, all these various impediments have to be examined and dismantled. Otherwise, we are just going to be 10 years from now in a worse position than what we are today.
Thank you, Sandra. That's a great question. So it is evident in being a Conservative member of Parliament that I advocate for Conservative governments, and I will get to the current government. But I believe in Conservative government at every level, from municipal all the way to international, and I'll explain further upon that. Having been a diplomat, I would love one day to be at a high level in a multilateral organization like the Organization of American States, since I served as a diplomat in Latin America. The executive director of Proud America said, oh, it's possible. They've never had a woman, they've never had a Canadian, and your Spanish is good enough, so that's encouraging. But that's a longer term objective. And then I'm gonna go backwards. So I I support Danielle Smith. Do I like everything she does? No, I do not. But she's, in terms of business, I think she's doing great things for Alberta, and I certainly door knocked with every single candidate in my district and supported them. I'm going to go back a step further, and I guess I'm saying this because actually I'll go into that after. I worked after, not the most recent Civic Calgary election, but the election before, when for the fourth term, we got a mayor I didn't believe was pro-business, pro-efficiency in City Hall. I worked with the Premier to change the municipal laws, to implement political parties and change party financing. We now have a Conservative City Council here, and that's because I decided after that civic election I wasn't going to sit back anymore. I learned this in the Foreign Service, where it is always better to change internally. And this almost goes back to Andy's position about the Alberta. This is where we can have the greatest change. As a member of the official opposition, we every day we stand up in the House of Commons and we try to hold Minister Hodgson to account to get things done. We try and hold Minister Joly to account to get things done. I believe the pain really could not be much greater in Canada in terms of the letters I get to my office. I was just recounting one yesterday from a mother in Sundance. She has 3 teenagers who go to Centennial. They both are college educated, work downtown. They have to pull their 3 kids out of sports next year, and she says it's killing them. What is wrong with that picture? Something needs to change. But my point is, I don't think the pain of Canadians seems to even be doing it for the government, to your point. So it appears to me things have to be electorally expedient for them. But bigger than that, I am committed to getting a Conservative government here in Canada. And we were very close last time. I think there's a number of reasons where we weren't successful. But I'm not young, but I'm not done yet, and I'm going to keep pushing for that. So we will keep applying pressure in the House. As I said, I've determined the greatest success is changing things within a system. But I will also keep working for that Conservative federal government who respects every part of this country, because I cannot stand to watch billions of dollars of investment leave our country or not even be invested here in the first place. I can't stand to see 100,000 people lose their jobs, and I can't stand to think about having to pull my son out of hockey. I can't do that. So I'm sorry I can't give you a straight answer, but I'm doing everything I can at every level, and I won't give up. Hi, Jason.
Justin.
Sorry, I meant Jason or Justin. Sorry. 2 syllables, starts with J, ends with N, missed it by 4 letters. Or my apologies, sorry.
What would you like to see from the business community in terms of change? How will, other than like donations, how else can we help to influence the federal government to make some changes? What would you like to see from us?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think industry is doing this more. Well, it's doing this more and more. I think my party was critical of industry not being vocal about what they needed in the sense of, and I'll straight up, my husband is Vice President Government Relations at Imperial Oil, so I literally go to bed with this every night. I think there was for a long time an attempt to appease the government, thinking, oh, well, if we give a little bit to Guilbeault, or we bend a little here, we'll get something back. And I think we've learned, at least from the previous administration, this is not the case. Now, again, the Prime Minister is talking a good talk. They appear to be doing things. They appear to be signing things. They appear to be announcing things. I think what you have to do now is be relentless in your demand that action is taken. You have to be relentless for the future of your partnerships, corporations, you have to, and for Canadians as well. So I would say just hold this government to account. If they announce something, if they say they're going to do something, don't let them get away with not doing anything. Just keep talking to them, keep reminding them that they made a promise. They made a commitment to Canadians to improve the situation. Particularly with our neighbors to the south, the Prime Minister won on saying he would do a better job of negotiating this, and we have yet to see any type of deal. So I think before there was a problem of appeasement. I think the industry here has moved past that. Now you must focus on accountability, Justin.
That was my softball question.
Okay,
today,
cool.
so.
Yeah.
Drill, baby, drill and lay pipe.
Thank you.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. OPG just finished up their SMR, small modular nuclear reactor project.
Right.
So how do you see Canada leveraging more of those reactors in Alberta to support our resource economy and making energy cheaper for us all? What can the politicians do like yourself to make it easier for that?
Right. Well, I see Danielle Smith is very aggressive on this, and I think it's very good that she is so aggressive on it. And in my caucus, I would have you look at the work of Corey Tucker. He's a member of Parliament out of Saskatoon. He is right on top of this file for us, advocating for at least the evaluation of these reactors. I really don't know anything about nuclear, I'll say that up front. But it is on our radar. We have a dedicated member who is looking at this. And I'm not sure where it fits into the federal government's energy plan presently, but it's on our radar, and I know Corey is a big advocate for it. So I'm leaving it in his hands and with his recommendations. And if you would like me to put you in contact with him, I remember doing this on the campaign trail when we were in Calgary McKnight. Yes, that's right. We had the one constituent there who had that question. I'm more than happy to do that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well this was so much fun. Thank you so much. What a great group. Just innovators, entrepreneurs. This is my jam. I love these people here. I said I was from a small business family. I'll let you in on what that is in case you need some patio furniture. My family has owned Wicker Land on Center Street South for decades now. If you're in Kelowna, if you're in Victoria, we have locations there. Come by, get the family deal. Tell them Stephanie sent you. Have a great conference, everyone. Thank you so much. All the best to you.